Sometimes you just gotta. Sometimes what's
you gotta be a bitch. I'm trying to take it back.
What's the saying? Wolves can't be something about a wolf and a sheep, something like that.
You don't even know the damn saying.
But you knew what I was trying to say. Welcome back, everybody.
Wolves are not concerned with the opinion of sheep.
There you go. So if you knew the saying, then you already knew. Welcome back, everybody.
And then there was a dog,
number 18.
And a cat was doing something.
You done? Welcome back, Clash of Culture family. Episode 18 of our live show series. Going to be previewing week 8's games. And I'm going to go ahead and say it right off the bat. If this is the kind of week that I think it's going to be, this is going to be a lot of upsets this week, fellas. A lot of upsets. That's what I think. Guinea Pig's here with us. He says, go Irish.
What up, Guinea Pig Clips?
Hopefully we get a good amount of people in here today. A lot of good football to be talked about. Duck fans said go Ducks. It's going to be fun, though. But, Dad, is there any storylines, before we kind of get started about talking about football and the games, are there any storylines that you can think of heading into this week?
Yeah, I think there's some big storylines. Obviously, I think as an Ohio State fan, but as a college football fan, the big game is the Ohio State-Penn State game. Air Force being ranked, but also losing their quarterback, who is also their leading rusher, but being undefeated. That's a big story. You've seen what this story about Michigan. Michigan possibly is being investigated about possibly stealing signs or something of that
what
nature.
Is this, bro?
So yeah, we'll see what that equates to. Obviously, I dislike Michigan, so I like all bad publicity their way. A bunch of sneaky good games this weekend, and I think. Wait a minute, am I tripping? Who does Clemson play this weekend?
Miami.
Oh, Miami's no longer ranked.
Correct. Yeah, we haven't talked about Clemson on this channel.
I was going to say, for the first time in a while, we're going to be back talking about Clemson, but Miami is not ranked.
Next week or no? Who do they play next week?
Yeah, I don't know who they play next week.
Next week they play NC State. But if Clemson gets a good win this week, maybe they'll be ranked after this week. Who knows? But I'm kind of glad that we haven't talked about them in a while. I haven't been able to jinx them. Just kind of – go ahead.
Yeah, what? So I also say – a couple of games where there's a little bit of concern about a hangover. Washington, right? Obviously, Washington off of that big game with Oregon. And like I said, we can talk about that more as we get into each one of these games. Where is Clemson in the next?
We are the second team out.
Oh, okay. All right.
We'll see. I think if we get a good win this week, we might be able to sneak back in. But we'll see. You got a lot of things that need to go our way for us to kind of get where we want to be. But we're not going to talk about them this week. They're not in the top 25. They're not playing a top 25 team. So let's just go ahead and get right started.
Oh, damn, you ain't fucking right.
First game of the day, obviously, Penn State versus Ohio State.
I feel like that one should be last. That's going to be the game.
We go in order, though.
No, absolutely.
So Ohio State is the 5-point favorite at home, over under at 46. I'm going to let you kick this one off first before I give my synopsis of this game.
Yeah, big game for Ohio State. And I think for both teams, this is no disrespect to Notre Dame, but this is the first team that both teams have played of this caliber. Remember, these are two teams not only in the same conference, in the same division. So a budding rivalry. Hard to say. Obviously, Ohio State has dominated it the past couple of years, but this Penn State team looks very good. The defense, number one defense in the nation. And I think they're ready to, as I've talked about, as I've mentioned a number of times, they're ready to show their big brothers, if you would say, Ohio State and Michigan, that they don't want to sit at the kiddie table no more. And this is the first chance for them to show that, hey, they're ready to be talked about amongst the big boys. I don't think anybody's going to take Penn State serious until they beat either Ohio State or Michigan. So this is their opportunity. I hope, pray, as an Ohio State fan, one, that Ohio Stadium is rocking. It is a noon game. Obviously, it's why we're talking about it amongst the first games. And then two, that we have our full complement of players back. As you guys know, Trevion Henderson was out last week. Emeka Buka was out last week. Mayan Williams was out last week. So I think to beat Penn State, and like I said, this is a very talented team, but to beat Penn State, we need all hands on deck. What's your thoughts? That was it.
That was it? Oh, okay.
Yeah,
I thought you were going to keep going.
I mean, I kick it to you. I don't want to back and forth,
If Notre Dame isn't the caliber of Penn State, then shouldn't Penn State win this game?
Well, let me say this too. Those are two totally different games. That Notre Dame game that was played at Notre Dame, and that's why I tried to caveat this with saying that that was not a slight at Notre Dame, but this Penn State team is undefeated. Obviously, Notre Dame has 2 losses. This Penn State team, this is the number 1 defense in the nation. This is a home game for Ohio State. This is a rivalry, 2 teams that know each other very well. So, do I think if Notre Dame played Penn State, I think you could probably toss up a coin. That game could go either way. So that was my point. Wasn't that was a slight at Notre Dame, but I think this game, this rivalry, how much these teams know each other, how much James Franklin really wants to beat Ohio State. Remember, Marcus Freeman is an Ohio State guy. He loves the Buckeyes. He's a Buckeye all day. So James Franklin really wants to beat Ohio State. Every player on Notre Dame wants to beat Ohio State. I mean, I'm not saying. Every player on Penn State. I'm not saying the players on Notre Dame don't. But Penn State has been little brothered to Ohio State and Michigan for so long. Those guys, I would say probably want it a little bit more.
Alrighty, so I'm gonna give my preview on this one. We talked about this game a little bit throughout the week. Like I said, heading into this live stream, it's gonna be a lot of upsets this week.
Okay,
I'm picking Penn State to win this game.
You literally said last week I'm picking Ohio State to blow them out.
Okay, and when we did the preview, what did I say in the preview?
I don't know what you said in the preview. You didn't give us.
So maybe you should go rewatch the content you put out.
I literally.
Let me listen. Maybe you should go listen. Maybe you should go rewatch the content that you put out, because I clearly said I didn't know Ibuka wasn't playing when we did that I said the 17-point thing.
Ibuka is expected to play.
And then I also said in the preview, I'm going 50-50 now, knowing that he might not play. And after I did more research on both teams, Penn State is tied for the number 1 turnover margin in all of college football with 11. Mm-hmm. Quarterback Drew Lar has not thrown an interception all season.
That's correct.
Ohio State is barely in the top 50 when it comes to turnover margin. I think they're at they're +3, if I'm not mistaken, or +4.
Well, McCord's only thrown 1 interception. I don't know. Now, maybe we have not turned a lot of people over, but I don't think we've turned the ball over a lot.
So the turnover margin for Penn State is 11, and Ohio State has given up has a turnover margin of +2.
Yeah, because I know Hayden fumbled last week. I know Devin Brown has thrown an interception, but that was
you have seven turnovers gained and 5 turnovers lost.
Okay.
Penn State has 13 gained and 2 lost.
Okay.
So I think that's going to be the deciding factor. I think the run game is going to be monumental as well. I can see Penn State or Ohio State winning this game, but I'm going to pick Penn State because I think this is going to be the week of the upsets. I have a plethora of upsets this week. This is not the only one. I have a bunch of them, and I think this game is going to be – obviously, it's the game day game. I think there's going to be a lot of good games. It's probably going to go down as the best game of the day when it's all said and done. Hopefully, the Ohio State crowd plays a big factor in this game. I know if it was the other way around, Penn State's crowd will be rocking. So I'm assuming Ohio State's going to be the same way. But I am picking Penn State to win this game 37-30. The over-under is 46. I think they score way more than that. Did you give your score prediction?
I did not. So just as we get into that, these are 2 of the top defenses in college football. Like I said, I think Penn State is ranked number 1. I think Ohio State's also a top 5 defense, if I'm not mistaken. I think defense is going to play a major part in this game. I think like Steven mentioned, and I want to highlight that Penn State rushing offense is pretty good with 2 very good running backs, Nick Singleton and Katron Allen. I think you're going to see a heavy load of that. They're going to try to keep Drew out of bad situations. with the first team that could really rush him a little bit and put him under pressure. But I think with the full complement of weapons, and again, yeah, I'm probably an Ohio State homer. With the full complement of weapons, if we have Mbuka, if we have Marvin Harrison Jr., which obviously he should be playing, if Travion's playing, I feel good about our weapons against anybody. I do think this is going to be a lower scoring game because I do think these are two very talented defenses. But obviously, I'm going to pick Ohio State in this game. I have them winning 27-21.
Alrighty, moving on to our next game, we had UCF versus Oklahoma. I'll do this one first. I think this game here is kind of a sneaky good game. I know UCF is 3-3 right now, but they've had obviously this is their first season in the Big 12. They've had some close losses. They lost to Baylor by 1, and then they obviously got blown out by Kansas, and then they lost to Kansas State by 2 touchdowns. Other than that, they've looked decent throughout the rest of the season. Oklahoma has looked shaky at times against lower opponents, like the SMU game. So I do have Oklahoma winning this game. I do think Dalen Gabriel is still going to put up some really good numbers. I don't have him covering 17.5 points, though. I think the over-under at 67 is like the nail right on the head. That seems about where I would have it. I have it 38-27, Oklahoma. So what is that? That's 60, 65? Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
So I have it right under the 67. But I have Oklahoma winning this game by 11. I think this game is going to be competitive the entire way, but I think Oklahoma just has too much depth.
Yeah, I would have agreed, but there are two things that are holding me against that take. One, we mentioned the 3-3 record of UCF, but they've lost their last 3. And you did mention the 1-point loss against Baylor, but their last loss was to Kansas by a heaping. They lost by a heaping. And I think Oklahoma is much better than Kansas. Now, again, I don't think you can, apples to apples aren't necessarily the case, but I do think Oklahoma is substantially better than Kansas. So I do have them covering. I have this score 41-21. Oklahoma winning big, continuing that UCF losing streak. I think Oklahoma, after a big game against Texas, that we all know, they got a week to kind of calm down, heal up a little bit, and get ready and get focused for this game. Teams off buys, I think, just do better because they get 2 weeks to really study an opponent. And I know UCF is also off a bye, but I think UCF is just not as good of a team.
Alrighty, moving on to our next game, we have Air Force versus Navy. What is your thoughts on this game?
Yeah, so Air Force is obviously a very good team this year. I mean, a service academy team, and we're talking triple option, and they're ranked. So a ranked service academy team is a big deal. But this is the first time they're going to play a team that is used to defending the triple option, because obviously that's what Navy utilizes as well. So a lot of times service academy teams will catch teams off guard because they're playing a team that hasn't really seen the triple option. It's not something that you study a lot. Air Force does it very well, but if you guys heard me mention in the previews, Air Force has lost their starting quarterback. He will be out. All praise due to Air Force. But if you guys know service academies, and where's my boy JB? You know what service academy I got to go with? The one that pays my check. You know what I'm saying? I get money. One of them give me money, the other one doesn't. So, I'll go with them damn midshipmen. I got Navy. I got this low scoring, again, because this, like I said, triple option, normally you're not going to get big scores. It's all about assignment football. And then again, 2 service academy teams, no matter the record, throughout the record, trust me, these guys want to beat each other. This game, again, just kind of like how I mentioned in the Penn State-Ohio State game, this game means a little bit more than maybe Air Force playing Wyoming, which is the team they just beat, or Navy playing Memphis, right? This game means a little bit more. This is bragging rights, not only amongst these guys on the field, but an entire service, right? If we beat Air Force, obviously every airman I see, I'm talking shit. And if they beat us, it's probably going to be the same. So, yeah, this game means a little bit more. That explains a lot. What explains a lot?
Maybe the fact that you're in the Navy.
Oh, I think everybody knew that. But yeah, I got Navy winning this game 17-14.
Alrighty. Obviously, Air Force, like you said, triple option team, number one rushing team in the country. I know that Navy runs a triple option as well, but I think Air Force is just a little bit better than them this year. And I think part of the reason for that is defense. So, I mean, even if we want to say offensively, they're used to seeing this type of
since 9 months before birth, baby. I've been one. That's almost 44 years.
So when you look at this team, obviously, like you said, both of these teams can run the ball pretty well. I'm pretty sure Navy is a top 10 rushing team. I don't know off the top of my head, but they're averaging almost 240 yards a game. So I would assume they're right around top 10 for rushing. But when you look at the defensive side of the ball, Navy gives up 375 yards to Air Force's 240, and 150 yards rushing. So I think when you're going against the best rushing team in the country, and you're
damn holy mug, it's just a cup. I just can't show
you. But yeah, I think when you look at that, when you look at the numbers, Navy gives up 150 yards a game rushing, and Air Force is the number one rushing team in the country. So I do have Air Force win this game 31-16. I think they win the game. I'm probably not going to watch this game because of the other good games that are on during this time. But I mean, we'll see. I mean, if Air Force wins this game and they improve to 7-0, obviously they're staying in the top 25. But I want to know how far can Air Force go if they remain undefeated? Because based on the rest of their schedule, they play Navy, Colorado State, Army, Hawaii, UNLV, and Boise State. They could go undefeated, and where is an undefeated Air Force? Are they top 15?
Are they top 15? Don't laugh at the service again. Service Academy teams got national championships.
New Year's Six Bowl would be crazy. Imagine Air Force playing against Alabama.
If Air Force goes to a New Year's Six Bowl, I'm going.
I guess.
I got to. Just for you, Preston.
Moving on to our next game. Well, before we move on to our next game, please, if you haven't already, do us a favor, like the video, like the stream. Helps us kind of reach out to other people so we can get more people in here to talk football with us. Moving on to our next one, Washington State versus Oregon. I'll take this one first. Upset of the week, baby. Upset of the week. I told y'all last week, Washington State is going to win this game. A lot of hangover for Oregon. I know Oregon.
You also told us last week that Ohio State was going to beat Penn State, so we don't know what to believe no more.
You're right, but I'm telling you now that Washington State's going to beat Oregon. So I think Washington State is gonna win this game at Oregon. I think Oregon has a lot of hangover from last week. I know we have a few Oregon Ducks fans in here. I'm sorry, guys, but Washington State is not a bad team at all. Jeremy said not happening, Steven. I'm telling you, don't go missing now when them Cougars come to town. Not this again, SMH. I don't know. I think with how poorly Cam Ward played against Arizona, I think he wants to kind of prove something. I know Oregon's going to want to prove something as well after the loss to Washington. But I think when you lose a game like that, and now you have to kind of play perfect for a chance at the playoff. I think. Hold on, Oregon by 20 plus. I don't think they're going to win by 28. Steven really shouldn't be drinking himself delusional by saying, I don't think they're going to win by 28. Now would I be surprised if Washington State loses? No. But I do have them winning, but I don't think they'll lose by 28. Oregon's a 20-point favorite. That is so much points.
My score has them covering.
Covering 20?
Yes.
Ooh. Well, y'all gonna be sick when WSU roll into town to take over, baby. I got WSU winning 34-31.
Yeah. This is the same Arizona team with everybody.
Arizona.
I'm sorry. This is the same Washington State team that with everybody healthy lost to Arizona by almost 40 points. And I can't forget that. Oregon, for whatever it was in that Washington game, actually outgained them, both passing and throwing, and played a heck of a game. That game came really down to who had the ball last. And again, I think those two teams we can consider two of the at least top 10 teams in college football this year. So all due respect to Oregon. I think Oregon's going to be mad. I think they understand that if they want to get back in this college football playoff picture, they're going to have to knock some heads. They're going to have to beat some people bad. And I think, again, I was a Cam Ward fan, and I still am. I think he is a very good quarterback, but I don't think the talent is there. I think Oregon is going to be upset. They're going to understand that the only way they get back into that conversation is if they start blowing the doors off teams. I think it starts this week. I have Oregon winning 41-10. Listen to me. Well, let me say it again. Let me get close to
the last time you did this.
10.
The last time you did this, I got the blue wall beating Georgia in the hedges.
Okay,
and
there was a whole different. I was going out on a limb. I was going out on a limb. I don't think picking Oregon to win this game is going out on a limb.
You're right, but I think winning by 31 is
the spread is 20.
Yeah, so you're almost that brother. That was a time and a half of the spread.
I am lower. I have a lower win number than what Arizona just put on Washington State. Do you believe that Arizona is a better team than Oregon?
No, but I also
and I know styles make fights, but
exactly. So why are you even bringing that up?
But it's not like that's crazy. But that's not like it's crazy.
Though that's such a
you
terrible
made it sound
comparison.
like that. It's crazy. I am just giving comparison. Did I guarantee? I can't guarantee they'll win by 31. I can't guarantee that.
I guarantee they don't win by 31.
I feel pretty good about Oregon winning. Again, I don't want to get to a point of guaranteeing.
That's fair. I mean, but
I feel very good about Oregon winning. But I wouldn't guarantee 31.
All right,
31 is tough.
Moving on to our next game, I'll let you do this one first. Tennessee versus Alabama.
Yeah, this is the game of underwhelming, very hyped quarterbacks from the preseason. And again, I think we just want to see which one of them break out. Did a preview video on this. Really just want to see one of these quarterbacks break out. I had truly high hopes for Tennessee, had them in the hunt, not only for an SEC title, but a national championship. Obviously, as we kind of watched them, I had high hopes for Josh Heupel. I thought he was going to be just this legendary offensive coach. I had high hypes for Milton, and I know Stephen had big hype and big hopes for Milroe as well. Yeah, I didn't believe as much in Milroe, and that's the only reason I mentioned it. But obviously, these two teams have left a lot to be desired, especially at the quarterback position. I think Milroe is on a little bit better of a roll than Milton. I think Milroe is starting to find himself a little bit. I think Nick Saban and that offense is starting to play to his strengths a little bit. So yeah, I would have picked Tennessee at the beginning of the season, but for this game today, I am going to pick Alabama. I have Alabama winning. What? Why are you looking like that?
Nothing. Do not read his name. Nothing.
Oh my goodness! What the fuck? You put his thing up.
That's Kyle. It's Kyle. Just go. He's a troll.
Oh, all right. I can't even talk. I got Alabama. Crazy, I got Alabama winning 28-24.
Alrighty, so I'm gonna give my prediction for this game. Jeremy said, "Don't see this game being close. Bama by at least 2 touchdowns."
I can't get over this damn name. I can't.
Okay, come on.
I'm focusing on this damn name.
Bama ain't losing 2 years in a row. Buckeyes win tomorrow. We did already talk about the Buckeyes.
What's up, Johnny?
My dad has the Buckeyes winning. I have Penn State winning. But we'll talk about them a little bit later. Obviously, it's a game day. We'll talk about them again before we head out of here. But this game is kind of a tricky one. I know we talked about it during the preview. This game is big for both teams because this game decides the season. A loss here, I know we talked about it on the preview. A loss here, we don't want to effectively count either of these teams out of the playoffs, but we have never in 10 years of the college football playoffs seen a 2-loss team in the playoffs. So with that being said, this here is win or go home in my eyes, especially for Tennessee, because if Tennessee loses here, they don't have a chance to go to the SEC title game because Georgia's not going to win another game outside of them, even if they do happen to beat them. With Alabama, if they lose, obviously they still have a chance to control their own destiny to get to the SEC title game, but it'd be very hard. With that being said, I did say week 8 is the upset week of college football. And I'm going Tennessee here. Tennessee has not looked great all season long, but like I told you in the preview video we did a couple of days ago, both of these defenses are not very good. Both of them giving up about 300 yards a game. The over-under on this game is 47.5. I don't expect it to be under that. I think it's going to be a lot higher. I don't think Tennessee can stop a nosebleed. I think Alabama's going to struggle as well because their offense is going to struggle. And when I say offense is going to struggle, I think Jalen Murrow might throw a pick or two. We've seen him against Texas throw 2 very bad interceptions. Obviously, Texas's defense is a lot better than Tennessee's, but this is still, prime time game, win or go home. Milrow has just never been in this situation before, especially when you already have a loss and you have to win this game. So I do have Tennessee winning this game, but I think it's going to be 38-30. I have them winning by 8, 68 total points. I think it's going to be way over that 47.5. I don't see it being lower than 47. I can't picture that, especially with how capable these offenses are. I know we haven't really seen much out of both quarterbacks, but the talent is there. We just have to see the productivity. But I think both of these offenses can go for 40 at any point. I don't think both of them are going to go for 40. That's why I have them a little bit shy of that with the 38 and the 30. But I do have Tennessee winning this game. It would be a big win on the road at Alabama, 2 years in a row against Alabama. But I'm excited for this game. This is probably one of the more games I'm excited for other than the Penn State-Ohio State one. Obviously, outside of Clemson as well. But this game is going to be good. Again, back against the wall for both teams. Kind of see who has the clutch gene. I guess we'll put it that way. So I do have Tennessee winning this game, but I can see it going either way. Let me catch up with some of these comments really quick. Jackson's an Ohio State fan. Do you think Big Ten noon is stupid? Personally, if my team was playing in the biggest game of the week, I'd be pissed if it was at noon.
Yeah, I assumed this was going to be a night game. Obviously at noon. I'm not going to even say it's disappointing. For me as a fan, get it out of the way and either be happy or upset and then kind of go with the rest of my day. I think if this game was in Beaver Stadium, it would have been a night game and probably a whiteout. But us, that in Ohio, we have a little bit more sense about us. So I'm not mad that this game is at noon.
All right, 1 second, guys. I'm just sharing this live to a few more people so we can get some more people in here to talk football with us. But moving on to our next game, I'll let you say this one first while I send this notification out a little bit more. We have South Carolina versus Missouri.
Man, I'm sad my boy JB isn't here. I think Missouri has impressed me a little bit more than I thought they would. And again, kudos to JB because he was the first person on him. Now, obviously, he's a fan, but he was the first person on him. In South Carolina, and a lot of eyes, we can say they've been disappointing. Dropped a heartbreaker to Florida, lost to Tennessee, lost to Georgia. Just haven't played great. But I think Spencer Rattler has looked halfway decent. So with that, I'm going South Carolina. I'm not going to call this my upset of the week. And I think even at 2-4, I don't, it's hard for me to quantify this as a serious upset because I think at the beginning of the season, we all probably, and I don't mean we all, but a good number of us probably would have favored South Carolina. But as the season has kind of played out, I think that thus far, South Carolina's just had a tougher schedule. And again, they've dropped some games that maybe they shouldn't have, but I think they're still a pretty good team. I'm going South Carolina 35-27.
Alrighty, so per usual, week 8, upset of the week, y'all. I'm telling y'all, this week there's gonna be a lot of upsets. I know like you said, it's not really considered an upset, but when one team is 2-4 and the other team is 6-1 or 5-1, whatever Missouri is, I think it's still labeled an upset. Missouri is a 7.5-point favorite. I have South Carolina winning this game. I'm on the road at Missouri. I think to couple that, though, I'm going to say this. If Missouri looks dominant in this game, then I'm gonna give them respect. And I know JB, we went at it a little bit last week about whether I think Missouri is a good team or not. But if they're able to beat South Carolina again, South Carolina is not a powerhouse, but they're not a cakewalk either. They still have one of the better quarterbacks in the SEC in Spencer Rattler, who at one point was the number one recruit and all this type of crazy stuff. So I still think that the Gamecocks are a good team. They can beat anybody any Saturday. Missouri is a 7.5-point favorite. I do not have them covering that. because I do have South Carolina winning the game 27-24. JB, I mean, you're gonna be a little mad with that pick. I know you're gonna if Missouri wins, you're gonna come in here and tag both of us and say we were wrong, and that's fine.
All good.
But they're gonna look dominant, Steven. Just watch. Again, if they look amazing in this game, I'm gonna give their respect. Because I pray to God they beat Georgia. I would love to see them beat Georgia. I'm not a Missouri hater. I don't know much about Missouri football, but I would be ecstatic. I'd be a fan of Missouri if they knocked Georgia off. So I think this is going to be another one of those good games, another upset of the week. That's who I have. But moving on to the next one, I'll do this one first. North Texas at Tulane. Don't know much about either team. I know we know a little bit more about Tulane. They're a 20-point favorite. I do have them winning this game, not by that much, but convincingly. I have them winning 37-20. I don't have much to say. I don't know a person on the North Texas roster. So,
no, I mean, I looked at some stats before the show, but again, yeah, much like you, I don't know much. Tulane's just worked its way back into the top 25 after that Ole Miss loss, and I think we kind of, even as we did we do a preview video on them? I think, or something.
We did.
We kind of figured that would happen. The rest of the schedule kind of plays out for them, so they're probably going to finish the season 11-1. And we're going to be hyping them way more than the actual skill of the team, although they did give Ole Miss a heck of a game. So in this one, because they did give Ole Miss a heck of a game, and again, this is probably a pretty good team for their conference, I have Tulane winning 55-27.
Alrighty, moving on to our next one. We have Minnesota at number 24. Iowa, I'll let you do this one first.
Yeah, so Iowa plays solid, good football, but has maybe the worst offense in all of not just the top 25, but maybe the nation. And then with that, they lost Eric All, the tight end transfer from Michigan for the season. Not sure what's going on with McNamara. But Minnesota has looked like hot garbage as well. And that Iowa defense is tough. Iowa always plays tough defense. You look at a team that's 6-1 with a horrible offense, and you ask how they're 6-1. How are they winning games 15-6? Yeah, the last big I guess you'll say offensive explosion they had was 41 points against Western Michigan. This offense is horrible, but that defense plays ball. So I think their defense is going to play again. This Minnesota team is not great to include losses to Northwestern. So, yeah, I am going to go with Iowa in a low-scoring, very boring game. This is a game that I will not turn on for 1 second, but I got Iowa winning 17-0.
17-0?
I mean, 17-10. I'm sorry.
Okay. I have them winning 24-17 for all the same reasons you said. They've given up 325 yards, but at the same time, their offense is piss poor. So I'm sure they've been on the field the entire game. So I'm not going to read too much into only giving up 325 yards on defense. But I do think it's going to be, like you said, a low-scoring game. But really, that's like medium. The over/under is at 30. That is kind of crazy to have a total points.
Would you bet the over?
I would bet the over on that. We're talking about 30 points. Like let me look at their schedule. So there's been one game out of 7 games or 6 games that they've scored under 30 total. And it was against
you're talking about both
total. Yeah. So
yeah, okay.
Iowa, Wisconsin, the total was 21. But
Gotcha.
every other game before that was always 31 or higher.
Yeah.
And they lost to Penn State 31-0. So
that's still over 30.
Yeah. So I think the over at 30, I would take that for sure. Because I mean, if each team scores a touchdown in the first quarter, you're already halfway there. Yeah. So I feel like that's a really low number, but I do have it 24-17. But moving on to our next game.
I almost want to take that bet now. I almost want to bet
over 30 points, right?
Yeah, I feel like that's one of the sure bets of the. You got to get over 30,
and you can also do like on I know like on FanDuel and DraftKings you can do like alternate total. So like you can, like I'm sure there's one that's like over 23 points. Like why wouldn't you take that?
Yeah.
Like and then imagine it's 0-0.
Yeah, he'd be bad, especially big one.
But moving on to the next one, we have Texas versus Houston. I'll do this one first. Obviously, this is Houston's first year in the Big 12. When I was like looking at this game, part of me wanted to like make this game closer than what I thought it was actually going to be, just for like, preview sake. But I just don't see Houston being able to make this a game. They're a 23.5-point dog. Obviously, Texas has, the big wins and then the one close loss to Oklahoma. Houston's 3-3. I don't see this game being very close at all. I have it 44-24, so I have them winning by 20. I would love to see the game close, though. I would love to see a close game to kind of see what Texas can do on the road in a hostile environment against a team that they should be winning by a lot against. We've seen a lot of other teams, in that situation, hence Utah. We've seen Oregon in that situation. So I think, we've even seen Notre Dame in that situation against Duke. Obviously, Duke is a little bit better team than Houston is. But I want to see a playoff caliber team, so to speak. What are they going to do when their backs against the wall on the road? And they don't have, 100,000 fans rooting for them. So that's what I want to see. So I would love to see a close game, but I don't think this game's going to be close. I have it a 20-point win, Texas win.
Now, you mentioned a playoff team on the road. The hard part is I believe that Texas will probably have more fans in that stadium than Houston, especially with the fact that that game is still in the state of Texas. I would say they probably have more fans than Houston in the state of Texas. And this is probably one of those opportunities where a fan can go watch Texas play for a little bit cheaper than if they actually went to their home stadium. I think just like I said about Oregon, this is a team that knows and feels like, hey, we need to really put some numbers up to put ourselves back in the conversation after that Oklahoma game, especially if they have aspirations of being in the college football playoff this season. And I think they're going to put numbers up against Houston. So no knock to Houston, but I got Texas winning 42-17.
All righty, moving on to the next one. Let's do this one first. Virginia versus North Carolina. Number 10, yeah. North Carolina, which is crazy.
Yeah, and I mentioned North Carolina was kind of ho-hum this season. Drake May just didn't seem comfortable early. And I think that all changed when Tez White came back. Tez Walker, I'm sorry, came back. Or I say came back, but was ruled eligible. Since that point, this offense has really taken off. And obviously Drake May is a very talented quarterback. Virginia has not looked great this year. So with that, pretty easily for me, I don't think this is one of the games that North Carolina needs to really worry about. I think they're going to put up numbers. I think that connection between Drake May and Walker is going to continue this week. I have North Carolina winning 38-17.
Already, I have North Carolina winning 37-10. I don't think there's much to talk about in this game. Virginia's not very good. I know they have Tony Elliott out of Clemson, who's a former offensive coordinator. He hasn't looked great. I think his job is on the line, really, throughout the rest of the year. They're 1-5. I don't see them winning many games. I know they had the tragedy last year with the whole shooting and stuff. So yeah. I know a lot of players either left or went to the draft or transferred out. So it's kind of a tricky situation for Elliott and the rest of the coaching staff. But I do have North Carolina winning pretty big. I do want to bring up this comment, though. Greg asked, do any of y'all see North Carolina making the playoffs? I'm going to go first one at that. I'm going to say no. The reason being, I think their schedule is going to be too tough. And I don't think a one-loss North Carolina team can get in the playoff because of name notoriety. And I know that sounds kind of stupid, but at the end of the day, it's not a computer that's ranking these teams. It's actual people. So I don't think in one loss, North Carolina is going to get in over a one-loss Alabama or a one-loss Oregon or a one-loss Ohio State or Michigan. I just don't see that happening. With that being said, they still have to play Duke. It's not a pushover. That's going to be a rivalry game. They still play Clemson. And assuming they win both of those games, which is already a tough stretch as it is, they would have to beat Florida State, which I don't think that could happen. But by, the grace of God, if that does, I think they're undefeated, then they're going to get in. An undefeated ACC title or champion is going to get in the playoffs, no matter who it is. It could be Georgia Tech. If you're an undefeated Power 5 champion, you're going to get in the playoffs. That's one thing that's kind of been a standard in the playoff format is if you win all your games, you're going to get in regardless, unless you're a group of 5 team. But to answer your question, I don't think they are because I think Clemson's going to end up beating them. And I think Duke could probably beat them as well. So we'll see. They have a top 5 or top 6 offense in all college football. So it's a recipe for success, but we'll have to see.
Yeah, I go and I'm trying to read the wording of the question. So because I think there's two different ways to answer this. If I was betting money right now, I would not bet for North Carolina to be among the four in the playoffs. But if you asked me, is there a chance, an opportunity, a window for them to make the playoffs? I think that window exists. Just like Steven mapped out, if they're able to run the table and beat Florida State, a good team, obviously a top four team in the ACC championship, yes, I think they get in. So, like I said, I was trying to read the question. Do I think they're going to get in? No. Do I think there's an opportunity for them? Is there a window for them? Absolutely.
Alrighty, we're moving on to our next game. We have number 13 Ole Miss versus Auburn. I'll let you do this one first. What do you feel about this game?
Yeah. So Auburn has been very bad at the quarterback position, and I think that's held them back. Ole Miss had that horrible game against Alabama, which always gives me concern. I think Auburn's a pretty good defense, but like I said, that quarterback position with Thorne coming over from Michigan State, it doesn't seem like it's been ironed out. Thorne is 4 touchdowns, 4 interceptions, so 1-1. Jackson Dart just has little periods where he doesn't look great. I think Judkins is starting to get going a little bit. I think maybe he was injured early, but I think he's starting to get going a little bit. So yeah, I got to go with Ole Miss in this game. I think it's going to be a little bit closer because, like I said, I think Ole Miss has just periods where they don't look great. But I think Ole Miss is going to pull this off. I have it 37-27.
Alrighty. I'm not going to say this game is going to be an upset pick in case people thought I was going to go there.
Okay, all right.
I think Auburn, the reason why Auburn is not going to win this game, they can't throw the ball. That's just what it comes down to. You're averaging 150 yards passing a game in college football. And you're not a team like Air Force and Navy. You do throw the ball. And you're averaging 150 yards a game. Defensively, you're giving up 362 yards. And pretty much anybody can run all over you. That's obviously an issue. You have a good rush. You have a good rushing attack, even though your quarterback is leading your team in rushing. You still have a good rushing attack, averaging 190 yards a game, which is above average, if I'm not mistaken. It's more than Ole Miss, and Ole Miss probably has a top 5 running back in all of college football. I know he's missed some time, but I think Jackson Dart's going to be the key in this game. Being able to put up 500 yards of offense, it's just going to be, I think, it'll be a little bit too much for Auburn because I don't think Auburn can match that offensive output. I don't know off the top of my head how many points Ole Miss scores a game. I can find it right now, though. Ole Miss scores 41 a game. If I had to guess, Auburn is probably at like 23. They're at 27. So I don't think they're going to be able to match it. We do have an Auburn fan here. Bryce says,
hair. Yeah, that was kicking your ass.
Huh?
I said hair because he was having a hard time spelling.
Bryce said, when was the last time Auburn lost to Ole Miss and Jordan Hare? I don't know. You would be the one to answer that question. You're the Auburn fan, so I'm not sure. But I'm not sure. We'll have to see. It's going to be interesting, though. I also think, though, to kind of play devil's advocate with your comment, I don't think Auburn has been this bad compared to Ole Miss. If we're talking about comparing the two teams. Now, if that's a 15-year drought, then I'll give you that. But if it's only 6 years or something like that, I don't think that matters much. Just because I think the team is so much worse than Ole Miss is. It's been a long time. History matters. Auburn will win this in a 24-21 thriller strictly because of our run game. I don't expect us to throw the ball 15 times. We'll see. I mean, I wouldn't mind it because Ole Miss is a top 13 team, so I want all the top teams to lose. So I'm not against it at all. But moving on, we have Michigan versus Michigan State. I'll do this one first. Obviously, a rivalry game, Wolverines versus Sparty. I don't think it's going to be super competitive, but I also don't think Michigan's going to win by 40. The line right now is Michigan to win by 24.5. I don't have them covering that. They haven't really been able to, at least early in the year, put up loads of points. Obviously, our last 3 games, 52, 52, 47. But other than that, they were in the 30s all year long. So I have this game 33-17. So I have them winning by 16. It's a rivalry game. I think it's just going to be different. And just like the Colorado and Colorado State game, even though one team is, I feel like, significantly better than the other, I just think that there's going to be a lot of emotion, a lot more, I guess, heart and pride on the line in this game. Obviously, it's a home game for Sparty, but I think Michigan just has too much firepower at the end of the day, so I do think they're going to win the game.
Yeah, if you guys remember last year, this is where the player got beat up in the locker room. I mean, in the tunnel. You remember that?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, first time they've played since then. Michigan State, ever since their head coach got fired, has looked horrible. Lost 4 in a row. And I mean, while none of those games were against a team anywhere near Michigan, I take that back because Washington is amongst those 4. But yeah, this Michigan State team is having problems. Even though it's a rivalry, I think this is the one time that Michigan does really flex their muscles. And they seem to have found something. They seem to be on a little bit of a roll. I got Michigan winning 45-14. Hey, can you hear me? I can't hear you.
I had it muted. Sorry, I had it muted because I was typing.
I was like,
sorry.
My shit. I was really bugging. Like,
no, I was typing, so I didn't want them to hear the typing of your voice. But another top ACC matchup: number 16 Duke versus number 3 Florida State. This game, I think, will decide one of the participants in the ACC title game. I think we're at that point in the year. One of these guys, I think, the winner of this game will be in the ACC title game for sure. The loser would have to kind of work their way up. There's a lot of teams in the ACC right now who only have 1 loss in conference play or 1 loss in general. Let me pull up the standings really quick. I know, obviously, Florida State's undefeated. Duke is
5-1,
but they're 2-0 in conference. North Carolina's 3-0 in conference. Louisville's 3-1, and then Georgia Tech's 2-1. So I think this game, it has major implications for not only the playoff with Florida State, but also the ACC title game with Duke.
Guinea pig.
With Duke as well. So this is going to be a good one. Like I said, I'll go first on this one. I do think that this game's going to be close, but I think, like I've said before, I don't think Duke is that great of a team, and I think Florida State is a legit top 5 team in college football, and I think we're going to see that this week. I don't know how good Riley Leonard's going to be against this defense on the road at Florida State. The 2 toughest teams he's had to play this season were at home, and I think that plays a major factor. I think if Duke had to play Clemson on the road or Notre Dame on the road, I think both of those games are ugly in favor of those 2 teams. So I think this game is not going to be very close. I had this game 41-24, so a 17-point win for Florida State. Florida State's only a 2-touchdown favorite, but that's how I have it. I think Florida State's going to win this game convincingly.
Yeah, I think we got to talk about Keon Coleman early in that Biletnikoff conversation. Now, obviously, there's some other players, Marvin Harrison, Rome, but and I don't know how to say Rome's last name, so I'm not going to try. But man, you got to talk about Keon Coleman in that conversation. He's been balling, and I don't know how you cover these Florida State receivers. Just 2 big, tall, massive guys. Both play very good football with a very good quarterback. Duke has not been able to pass the ball well. They just play tough, hard-nosed football. But they do not put up, Riley Leonard has not put up magnificent numbers passing. He's well under 200 yards a game. So I think I think they'll play tough. I think this game will be a tough game for Florida State, but I think Florida State just has too much offensive firepower. And that doesn't even include, we didn't even talk about Trey Benson, who's playing well as well in the running back position. I think there's just too much offensive firepower, too much size. So I got Florida State winning. I think they pull away late. And when I say pull away, I have them barely covering. You said it was 14. Mm-hmm. So I have it at exactly 14. I have it 31-17.
Okay. Moving on to our next one. I'll let you do this one first. Another Service Academy, Army versus number 19 LSU.
Yeah. So this is where it becomes hard. Let's just be honest. The Service Academy playing a true, in terms of talent, top 15 team. I don't think anybody would deny that LSU is a top 15 team. But where it gets tricky is simply trying to guess a score. Now, I think we're all going to pick LSU to win. But like I said, LSU probably has not played a triple option team since Pop Warner. And it is assignment football. One wrong step or one belief the ball went somewhere else, and somebody might break. This is why service academy teams are really hard to play. So again, while I do pick LSU to win, trying to pick a score against a service academy team who's going to run the ball 500 times, who's going to try to control the clock again, especially against a team like LSU that's probably bigger, faster, stronger than them. They're going to try to play really controlled. They're going to try to play keep away a little bit. It's hard to pick a score. I went 31-14. But like I said, I think the score being down a little bit in terms of LSU is because Army's going to play a little bit of keep away.
So I have LSU winning by a lot more than that. I think, like you said, it is tricky when you're playing against a triple option or that kind of offense that you haven't seen before. You only see once every 5 years or whatever the case may be. But I just think LSU's the talent gap is just so much. I don't see Army stopping LSU's offense, and I think eventually Army needs so much to go their way just to put points on the board. I don't think they're going to have a situation where they're even going to be able to put up 2-3 touchdowns. I just don't see that happening. But I do have them scoring once. I have it 48-7. I think they might score late when LSU's backups are in or something like that. But I don't see a world where like Army would need to have 4 plays where it's like 70-yard rushes, something like that. And I don't see that happening. Maybe it happens once. Because I don't think Army can just put together a methodical drive and just drive down the field. I don't think that can happen.
Are we like way ahead of people?
What do you mean?
Or are my comments slow?
What do you mean?
Do you see the comment that says Iowa should not be ranked?
Yeah, I think he's just talking out loud.
Okay. I didn't know. Like maybe some people are like way behind.
We're only like 15 seconds delayed, I think, or like 10 seconds delayed.
Okay.
Maybe 20 seconds, but it's not.
I was like, hey, Iowa. We talked about Iowa like an hour ago.
No, but moving on to the next one. Number 25, Miami versus. Why does it say North Carolina? They put North Carolina? No,
Miami's not ranked.
I just didn't take that one off. Okay, I was tripping.
I was about to say, yeah, like
number 14 Utah versus number 18 USC.
I don't even have a score for that. I was looking like
I always like just go through and like edit them, and I skipped over that one on accident. I'll go first in this one. I would not call this an upset, but obviously, based on the rank, it is an upset. I got USC in this game. I don't think Utah's offense has looked good at all this year. I know their defense has. But at the end of the day, you have to be able to score points to win. The over-under is at 52. That sounds about right, just because I think USC's offense is probably going to get you 30 to 40 points, but Utah's offense may only get you 10. So that seems about right. But I do have USC winning this game. They're a 7-point, almost said 7-touchdown favorite. They're a 7-point favorite. Another one of those games where this game, defines your season. Whoever loses this game is effectively out of the playoffs. They're not out of the Pac-12 title game, but they're out of the playoffs if you lose this game. So obviously Utah has been out without their best player, but I still think they have the capability to win this game even without Cam Rising because their defense is that good. But like I said, I do have USC winning. Obviously coming off of the big loss to Notre Dame, I think they have a sour taste in their mouth. They want to win this game. They want to show that they're still the top dogs in the Pac-12 with the two, monsters that played last week. They start to play both of those guys. But I have USC winning by 11, 34-23, which is 57, so a little bit over the over. But yeah, that's what I have. I have USC winning by 11.
This is actually one of my most intriguing games of the weekend for a bunch of reasons. But I'm going to say, and I'm going to start with this. I'm going to start with this. I think since he's come into college football, since he won the job from Spencer Rattler, I think we've only held praise on Caleb Williams, how great he is, how he's the best thing ever. Even in losses, both at Oklahoma and USC, it was never Caleb Williams' fault. It was the defense let him down. Yada. I think this is the first time where he's been truly scrutinized, especially by the masses. I really want to see how he bounces back. And the thing is, he is playing a very good defense. This Utah defense, this is not a cupcake game. This Utah defense, again, as Steven mentioned, with Cam Rising out, the fact that they have a 5-1 record is based on the great play of this defense. So Caleb, is getting no easy ride as he tries to really show that, hey, I am that guy. I am the guy, and I just had a bad game. I want to see how he bounces back. I want to see how USC bounces back. Just like Steven, I have much concern about this Utah offense. I think you are starting to see a situation where Cam Rising truly has proven that he makes this engine go. What are you doing?
I thought about something funny. Keep going, bro.
It's all right. And you tried to drink. I can see it coming. I can see it building.
I'm sorry, bro. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
But yeah. So with that, I think Caleb Williams does bounce back. I think he has a lot to prove, and I think he knows it. I think he's going to have a lot of pressure on him, and I think he knows it, especially in a game like I said where you're playing a good.
Bro, just keep talking, bro. I'm trying.
Man, 28-24 USC. You don't mess that up. What are you laughing at?
Nothing. I'll tell you after. But moving on to our next one, we have Arizona State at Washington. Not much to say in this game, for me at least. I have Washington winning 38-10. I think they continue rolling and continue to stay undefeated against a lower caliber of opponent in Arizona State.
Yeah, so this game gives me a little bit of concern. A little bit of concern only because there's such an emotional high after that Oregon game. Let's just remember that that game was built up, and they probably were looking at that game all season. If this was a better team, then I think we may be looking at the potential for one of those sleepy, sneaky upsets. But Arizona State is not good at all. Arizona State is not even a little bit good. They are 1-5. So for that reason, and the fact that Washington is a good team, for that reason, I have Washington winning 49-14. Washington by 6. Dang, they got this game much closer than
I don't have this game close, but
yeah, I have 49-14.
Moving on to our last game, we're recapping for the week. Number 25 UCLA versus Stanford. Another game where I don't think it's going to be very close. I don't think Stanford's that good this year. Obviously, with
whoever that receiver is, he's him.
Bro finna have 2 catches for 12 yards this week.
Whoever that receiver is, he's him. What did I say a little bit of concern about? Yeah, just a schmidgen. I just meant like a schmidgen.
Shut up, bro. I have this game 41-17 UCLA beating Stanford.
Yeah, I have it. That's funny. I have it 31-7. And yeah, the only thing that kind of
get it out.
Well, the only thing that kind of gave me concern is that receiver, bro. He looked like him. He looked like.
Oh my god!
And again, I don't know how. Obviously, we won't talk about Colorado this week, but that receiver looked like that dude. I don't even know how you say his name. I'm Manor. I know Travis Hunter know how to say his name. I know that. However you say it, Travis Hunter know how to say it because he saw the back of it all night. But yeah, I think UCLA wins this one pretty easily.
But that is going to be our preview of Week 8. Is there any other kind of topics you guys want us to go over? Anything you guys want us to cover before we head out? I know we're coming in on an hour, but just let us know. Like I said,
yeah, we're gonna talk about college. Is Colorado even playing this weekend?
We're not talking about Colorado. I don't got time.
I was just asking if they're playing.
No, they got a bye week. They need it.
Okay, there you go.
Let me see what news they got.
I think the Michigan thing is big news.
Yeah. Oh, how do you feel about Buddy being out for a few weeks? What's his name?
Who's Buddy?
Brock Bowers.
Oh. It's concerning, and as I say this, so Georgia has a bye this week, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I think they're saying 4 to 6 weeks.
I know they got Mizzou in that timetable.
For Brock Bowers, I think Brock Bowers to me, is the only difference maker on that offense. The only person that you really have to try to game plan for. So when I look, obviously a bye this week, they have Florida in this. And that game, Florida has been up and down, hot and cold. They have Mizzou, they have Ole Miss. So their next couple of games are against pretty good teams. I'm gonna go out early, and again, I'll be honest, and I'll be the first to say it. I started this season by saying I don't believe in Georgia, and I don't think Georgia's gonna three-peat. I think they drop one of the next 4 games.
So to either Florida, Mizzou, Ole Miss, or
Mizzou,
Tennessee.
Ole Miss, or Tennessee. I think they're going to drop one of those 4 games. And I think a big part of that is because Brock Bowers at the tight end position, because again, he's not just a tight end. They give him the ball on jet sweeps. They run screens for him. He does so much more than a traditional tight end. I think he means so much to that offense. He's the guy they go to when all the chips are down. So yeah, I think that is going to be a bigger concern and a bigger issue than maybe we're making it out to be.
No, for sure. I don't know. I just think they might get him. But that's gonna do it for the week 8.
Well, wait a minute. What is your thoughts on? How you just go
on Brock Bowers?
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think they're gonna drop one of the 4 games whether he plays or not. I feel like I've seen enough of Georgia to know that the only team I think they can lose to is Tennessee. But I would assume he's back by then. That's in an entire month from now, and I'm not sure how long he's gonna be out for. But that's in 5 weeks.
You see, Deion, they landed a top quarterback prospect at Colorado.
Who cares?
I was just asking if you said, hey, wait, come on, don't be a hater. Come on.
How am I hating? Okay, let's talk about UCF then.
Let's
talk
about
Let's talk about South Carolina. Let's talk about Houston. Let's talk about Houston. There's no point. Like, what are we talking about? Like, why are we even talking about? Let's talk about Clemson then. Why are we talking about Colorado?
I was just mentioning.
Why are you giving Colorado publicity? They've gotten enough. They lost to Stanford up 29-0 at halftime.
Why you let that?
Hey,
don't let that consume y'all. That's how you join the dark side.
What dark side?
Of the force.
Because I don't want to talk about Colorado.
Because you hating.
Bro, half of our live shows that we put out have been about Colorado. I'm done talking about them.
This man really
like that hype train's been done.
Don't let the hate consume you. Take deep breaths.
Relax, bro. That's gonna do it for this week's show. Colorado might lose to the bye week this week. But we have our live show. We're gonna do. You want to do it Sunday or you do it tomorrow?
Either. I don't have anything big popping this weekend.
I feel like we should do it Sunday because the Clemson game's at 5 tomorrow my time, and that means we go live late, like almost midnight.
Oh, 5 your time?
Yeah, it's at 8
What are you doing in the middle? We ain't talking about Clemson. We ain't talking about Colorado.
Yeah. This channel gets shut down before I miss another Clemson game. I'm watching that game. You tripping?
Who are they playing?
They're playing Miami.
Where, in Miami?
Yeah.
In Miami?
Yeah.
Oh shit. Okay.
You say it like you about to go. Like, okay.
I mean, it is possible. It is a thing that I am capable of doing.
He said, okay. All right. Well, that's gonna do it. I got somebody at my door, and my dog is tweaking. So that's gonna do it for all right, chicken.
But just
listen, relax. Like, come on. Like, here we go with the hot takes. All right. We will see y'all. We're gonna do a live show on. We're gonna do a live show on Sunday. 8 p.m. or we'll do 7:30 Eastern Sunday right before the Sunday night game.
That's good.
So 7:30 Eastern. We will see you guys then. We appreciate you guys. If you haven't already, please subscribe, hit that notification bell, like the stream, so you guys do not miss another upload. It's been super fun. We've been stuck at 9:47 for 3 months. I don't know why, but I guess I'm keeping that signed Heisman jersey. So cool with me.
No, please, because he literally, oh my God, you'll never get it here. Like that Jerome Pryor jersey that he bought from me 3 years ago.
But we will see you guys on Sunday after the afternoon NFL games. It's going to be fun. We appreciate you guys.